Hi, Dick Rauscher here. Today we're going to be talking about nugget number 241, Insights from the Wilderness, What It Means to Live Sustainably. Key point number one. We're going to use the body as a metaphor for true sustainability. And what do I mean by that? I mean that if we're going to have a model that we use in our culture or in our own lives, then we look to nature for the model. And the best one is our body. In our body, every single cell in our body cooperates with all of the other cells, and everything in the body, down to the tiniest element inside every cell, trillions of living organisms in our body, every one of them benefit mutually from the body. They also contribute mutually to the body. So there's always a balance between contribution and using. We take in energy from the outside, it goes in us, our cells process it, and that energy goes to every part of our body, and every part of our body contributes. For example, some of the cells turn into a liver, some of them turn into a heart that pumps the blood, some of them become lungs which oxygenate the blood, some of them go to our brain. But no single part of the human body is more important than any other part. Key concept number two, and this is a biggie. In nature, in Gaia is an poetic, I think I pronounced that right. It's a very fancy word, but it means one thing. It means all life is self-creating and self-repeating, self-nurturing. In other words, the cells may wear out and be expelled from the body, but the new cells take over exactly the role of the old cell. And we're going to look at the other concept here, and that is that the old cells that are forced out of the body because they have worn out, that's not waste. That goes back into nature, and nature recycles everything. So the biggest concept that we're going to be practicing, if we're going to be looking at the concept of sustainability, is we as a human species have got to deal with this concept of no waste. In Gaia, in the planet, there is nothing that's wasted. And when we think about human civilization, unfortunately, we can't make that claim. Most of what we consume creates huge amounts of waste and pollution. Okay, key concept number three. And this is something that Naomi Klein mentions a lot in her book, This Changes Everything. And that is that we need a new economic model. And what she's talking about is the concept that the old model, which we'll look at in a second, is outmoded. It's brought us to where we are as a civilization, but if we continue using this old economic model, we probably aren't going to be around too long. Okay, and here's why. If you look at the body, every single cell cooperates with and gets mutual benefit from and to the body. If we look at our economic model, what that means is that a new economic model replaces the cell with an individual. So our global human body, an individual is the same as a cell. Now, that seems like a real nice philosophic concept, but when you stop and think, what does it mean? When you think of all the immigrants in the world today, when you think of all the children who are starving, when you think of all the people who are dying from hunger and malnutrition and the people who don't have fresh water, we got a lot of cells in our global human body that are not getting mutual benefit. That means and this is what Naomi Klein is talking about, if we're going to switch our economic model, then every individual in our human body has to be getting benefit of being part of the human body. It has to receive from and contribute back to. Of course, that means everyone needs a job. Everyone has to contribute somehow. All right. So, pretty important concept in sustainability, and that is that our model of economy that we're used to, or another way of saying that is life as we know it, is going to have to change. And that doesn't mean the end of the world. It means the end of life as we know it in the old days. And we've got to come up with a new system. We don't have one yet. That's part of the problem that we're seeing around the world. Okay, next big idea. Part of what's going to have to change in this new economic model is we're going to have to embrace some significantly new values. The old values in the old economic system were based on greed, competition, and waste. In other words, if the heart made blood, the heart would keep it and then sell it at a profit to all the rest of the body. And I know that sounds absurd, but that's what a greed system is based on. All the organs in our body would be competing aggressively for the blood. And of course, then the lungs would hold up all the oxygen and sell the oxygen at a profit. So what happens? We're going to have a new value system. And part of that is that we're going to have to, in our consuming of products in our culture, we're going to have to start paying for all the costs of extraction, the pollution that's caused, and the harm done to the planet because of the extraction of natural resources, which of course we're running out of. But that means that we're going to have to begin paying for the waste and making sure that that waste is recycled for the benefit of the planet for future generations. Big change. The last big idea that I'd like to leave with you is the idea that Gaia is going to protect the planet by maintaining balance. And she does this with what we call negative feedback. Gaia always maintains planetary balance. In temperature, humidity, all of the resources get cycled, okay? Again, we're back to mutual benefit for everything on the planet. And the concept that I want to leave us with is that Gaia is going to protect the balance of our planet, not humanity. That's a pretty big reality when you really stop to think of it. And if you look at the storms that we're having, if you look at the glaciers melting, you look at the droughts, the forest fires, these are nothing more than just negative feedback systems that Gaia is kicking in to bring balance back into her domain. Okay, so just to sum up, Gaia is going to protect the planet, not humanity, the human species. We better learn how to be an integral part, or as Michael Dowd would say, to be in right relationship with nature. 2, we're going to have to begin to really reassess our values. We're going to need new economic models. Every individual in the global human body has got to have mutual benefit and mutual contribution. There is no waste in nature, and there is no waste in our body, and we can use our body as an outstanding metaphor. Okay? Big ideas, and these ideas are really worth thinking about. When you hear people talking about the negatives and how the world is coming to an end, blah, 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 yeah, life as we know it's going to change. But there's no reason that we as a species, if we increase our consciousness a little bit and begin to wrestle with some new value systems, we can make those changes, that they're not impossible. It is going to require, of course, that you don't have a Western world that's hogging all of the resources at the expense of the third world nations. Okay, that's part of our value system. Okay, take a read on that. If you want to read it, click the links below. It'll take you to the video. Another link on the site will take you to the article itself. A lot of good stuff in this article this week, so take a look at it. And don't be afraid to comment. I love getting your feedback. Okay, have a good, sustainable day. We'll see you down the road.